this video and the next two, we're going to look at some key elements of alternate picking that most people don't focus on. And because they don't focus on them, alternate picking seems impossible to learn. But once you start focusing on these three things as you practice, I promise you, you'll make more progress than any time before. This is the actual fact. So stick with me here in this video and the next. My name is Klaus Levin and I'm from guitarmastery.net, and this is an exclusive lesson for Music Radar. So let's dive into it. What is the one thing that most people get wrong when it comes to alternate picking? It's very simple, and I got some exercises lined up for you here that you can try as you focus on this one thing. It is picking depth. Why is picking depth so important? We're going to go close up in a second here so you can see exactly what I mean. Why is picking depth so important? Because just think about it. You're trying to do something when you do alternate picking that is virtually impossible. You're trying to combine precision and accuracy with speed. When do you do that, right? If you want to engrave something in a ring, right? A wedding ring, say, you're doing it very slowly because you have to be very accurate. When you do something very fast, it's very hard to be very accurate to the, to this degree. We're dealing with millimeters here, or, tenths and hundredths of an inch, right? So that is really two things that don't go together. And in order for them to go together, to actually solve this puzzle of alternate picking, we need to have the right picking depth. Because just imagine that your string is going back and forth here, right? But when it goes down one time, the picking depth is just 1/2 of 1 millimeter deeper in towards the body than when you're going up. So just that 1/2 of 1 millimeter, which is just like nothing, right? Or 1/4 even, it doesn't matter. It's just the slightest little change in picking depth will make you pick more of the string. And that will increase or decrease the resistance you feel or get in that pick stroke. Say you are in the surface. Now I'm picking in the slight surface of the string, right? And I'm having like a very even movement that does not vary in picking depth, like that. Then I get the same amount of resistance every time I pick, so it's very easy for the brain and hand to know how much force to put into the movement. But if just 1 or 2 of these out of 8 or 6 strokes were to be twice as hard to pick, then suddenly I would stumble, right? Because the brain would be surprised. Oh, I have to pick harder now, so I have to give it more force. That just doesn't work. Because you need to have an even picking motion. So what most people do out of the inability to not have an even picking depth is that they just force through the string. They use their entire arm and go, because now you're just picking with just, it doesn't matter what your picking depth is, because you're just forcing an even movement by using a big heavy entity like the arm here, instead of using the delicate precision tool that your hand and fingers are. But because you need precision as well to do other things when it comes to alternate picking and really get that sweet alternate picking style where you can go both slow and fast, and there's just a one gray zone. You don't have to go to another gear where you suddenly go, okay, now I'm phrasing and now I'm picking fast. Right? Then you have to shift gears completely and use a different technique to do the fast stuff. That's not what we're talking about here. That's not what we're aiming at. We're aiming at a technique where you can play slow. Right? And then you can play faster lines with the same technique. And if you want to get to that point, you need to focus really hard on your picking depth. And the picking depth needs to be no more deeper than the string itself when you practice. Really. So if you look like, like from this angle, holding up the guitar like this, let me see if I can get it, like that, and you place your pick here, then your pick needs to not, be visible underneath the string. I mean that. So if you're looking at you shouldn't be able to see the tip of the pick underneath the strings. That's how shallow I want you to pick. You can always go deeper later when you're playing, right? But when you practice, because it becomes super easy to do the picking motion because there's almost no resistance. And it's easy to do an even picking motion because now you have a measure. Now you can say, okay, what should my picking depth be? Well, it shouldn't be any deeper than it has to be, right? So you can start like this. Oh, now I'm hitting the string. Now I'm getting some tone. Stop, don't go deeper. And then keep it there, right? That's where you want to be. And that might be hard in the beginning, but as you practice this more and more, and how do you practice it? By focusing on it when you play. Not play, but practice. And you need to practice something that is simple, so you don't go, 6 strings. How are you going to practice picking depth if you're playing like... If you're playing it over... It's just too fast, right? You want to play one string. But let's get into that. Let's go close up so we can look at exactly what to play when you practice picking depth. So come closer. So the first thing you want to do is not worry about the left hand here. And you just want to take one note. Here I'm in the 15th fret on the B string. And just find the most shallow picking you can possibly do. Right? This is it for me. This is the surface of the string. Then all I need to do is move 1/100th of a millimeter closer to the guitar here. And that's where I want to be. I have the least amount of resistance when I cross the string, which allows for a much more rapid picking motion, and it's super easy. And to make an accent happen, I just have to move down just so slightly you can't see it. It's like nothing. So this is minute little changes in picking depth, but you stay at that level. Then once that is over, you can play a little sequence like this, and please remember that it's finding the picking depth that you're practicing, not the picking depth itself. So once you have it, and you found it, you can pretty much stay there pretty easily. But it's the going away and coming back that's the hard part, because then you have to adjust the pick again until you have the right picking depth. And that's what we want to practice. So as soon as you have your picking depth right, you want to change to another string, or just remove your hand and put it back on here again. But I have a little sequence for you. Really neat sequence right, that you can use for a lot of purposes. So let's just use that, and let's play it 4 times per string, so we really have some time to find the picking depth, then 2, and then 1 to make it harder, right? So you go 15, we're in the key of A minor, and we got the 12th, 13th, and 15th on the B string, and on the high E string as well, in that scale. So I go 15, 12, 13, 15, 13, 12. You got that? So 15, 12, 13, 15, and then back again to 13 and 12. So I basically play the highest note, and then I go up and down from the lowest. Right, so highest, and then... Right, that's the sequence. As you find the right picking depth, you should, once you start practicing this, learn this first, so you can really focus on what goes on here. But let's play it 4 times first. Then you shift to the high E string. Don't go across all 6 strings, because that involves another challenge, which is, moving your hand up and down. So 4 times, and 4 times up here. As you shift, you have to find the right picking depth again. And as you become faster and faster at that, you can, say, go 3 times. And then find new picking depth. And then you could go down to 2. And once you feel that that is not too fast for you, you can go down to 1. And see if you can remain in the shallow part of the string, really have a shallow picking depth. So first off, just find the picking depth, and you can also alternate between 2 strings. As soon as you have it, you can go to the E string, shallow picking depth, and then you can introduce the exercise so you learn something for your left hand as you do this. So use the exercises for at least a week and really go into it. Say 80% of your practice time should be just practicing picking depth this week before you pass judgment on what really happens once you get good at this. Because this is one of the central keys to getting good at alternate picking in the fastest way possible. stay tuned for the next video here on Music Radar, because we're going to look at another crucial insight that you need to have and need to focus on in order to become good at alternate picking. Most people waste their time. Most people are really, they think they're practicing alternate picking, but they're practicing nothing, because what they do, they cannot take to a higher level of speed. It's simply not possible. And you must make sure that what you practice can absolutely be scaled when it comes to speed. And there's one crucial little thing you need to do in order to gain that advantage. So see you in the next video.